Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back. I'm Will Dragon, and this is Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader. We are going to finish this one off on an episodal basis as opposed to streaming it live. And we have jumped back in, and I believe we have to have a hearing for Keebler. Let's just go and double check that, though. Cassia intends to recreate Teaspoon's or Celia's rituals from a vision in order to find a way to perform the ritual. Keebler has murdered an officer. Master at Arms Sobek expects the Lord Cap to judge and sentence her in person. Take Jay on the ship. What happened? The Rogue Trader should seek her out later in the ship's bridge. We have to go for the siege and the three sorrowful phalanges. Inspect the wreck of the Finger of Sorrow. That is in Omicron. And so there you have it. Let's go and do our level up for our favorite characters. So what have we got? What have we got? A first tier archetype talent. Soldier second attack action in a turn deals 90% more damage to enemies that have not suffered damage from the soldier during this turn. Soldier's area of attack. Gain 30% armor penetration and ignore 4 deflection when used against enemies in a 3-cell radius around the soldier. Potential. We use after 2 kills instead of 3. If dodge uses cover against enemies attack, they gain guaranteed critical hit. Rapid fire no longer reduces damage. Sold. And we shall put up our tough choice. Just throwing some awareness. And then we have... none of those are our favorites, unfortunately. 1, 2, 3, 4... Keebler is not here at the moment because we have to try her for murder. She will, of course, say the web told her to do it. I don't really know if that's a good enough excuse, but I'll probably accept it because I like using her in my party. If intimidation kills the target, the damage of the other enemies in the intimidation is reduced. The operative inflicts an exploit even on enemies which are out of his line of sight. Pick one exploit within 5 cells of attacks the operative or their ally. The enemy suffers +1 additional exploit. When using an enemies, the operative does -10 less damage from enemies affected by exploits. That's pretty good. Target affected by 6 or more exploits and scores a hit. The hit becomes a critical hit. I'll take 9% less damage, and then in terms of a skill to use, we can't even use Lord Xenos anymore. Then we'll go and throw it on... I haven't got a Scooby. All the rest of our skills kind of suck, to be honest. Why don't we chuck down some Lore of the Warp? Dear, we have Psycho Extremist already. I mean, most of the operative stuff we don't really use. Spoken weakness also reduces enemies' toughness and willpower by -15 for 1 round. Sure. I can get on board that. Warp and Xenos. Not going to be used. Yeah, most of our skills are standard, so let's just go awareness. Nothing like having characters with really high awareness to help you find things on the map. Whenever an ally is affected by an officer's ability or talent, they gain temporary wounds. When an officer's ability grants an action point to an ally, the ally also gains +1 to all characteristics for every action point gained until the end of combat. Gain a bonus to resistance test equal to 24. Whenever heroic axe used in combat by any character, the officer's next attack will cost 0 AP. Sure, we use heroic axe like they're going out of fashion. And we'll give an extra skill to... Ooh, let's stack it on... Coercion. And then Pascal. Analyze enemies' trauma exploits. Start your opposite turn. The enemy with the largest number of exploits receive an additional exploit stack. Joint offense. Rise of the Forge. Attacks and effects of exposed weakness ability gain bonuses against enemies under the effects of Machine Spirit Communion. Plus 10 tech use and demolition. Sure, why not? And then we've got logic up. Let's go for another tech use. There you go, that chucks that on a 185 as well. Let's go for that. And Sauerbeck. It's awaiting your judgment. Would you like her brought in? May I ask your opinion of him, Lord Captain? Put him in his place. It was enjoyable. I'm sure he deserved it. A little beating will be good for his pride. Let him try to earn your respect now. What? Excuse me, Lord Captain. What did you just say? The joke paid no heed, but of course, that is what I assumed. Whoops. Bring Kibula here. Let justice be done. Dum dum dum. There she is. In her fine power armor. Lord Captain, a murder has been committed on this ship. The victim is one Letard Furious, Chirurgian Majoris. The perpetrator was apprehended at the scene of the crime, admitted her guilt, and did not resist arrest. Kibula appears cold and apathetic. Her unblinking eyes stare vacantly, her expression odd. The Furious clan invoked a ship's tradition and summoned a requiscator to testify on behalf of the deceased. Masked man bows stiffly and decorously. How do you feel, Kibula? I am fine. This is just hollow ceremony, pointless. When there's no one to speak for a deceased person in court, the representative is entitled to seek assistance from a member of the Requiscators Guild. Their duty is known and remember each and every person on this ship so they can defend the interests of the deceased and represent them in court. They study the victim's entire life history to gain the most detailed impression of their personality, deeds, and aspirations. The guild was founded by one of your distant ancestors, and to my knowledge, the Requiscators only exist on our glorious flagship. What did he like about his work? He was fascinated by diseases, injuries, pathogens, complications. The part he disliked was the patients. They would not let him concentrate on that which was killing them. The clan to which the deceased belonged are wary of bringing accusations against the Lord Captain's companion, and the esteemed Letard never made any courageous friends in his life, having always preferred his work to the company of others. The eyewitness accounts didn't give us much. The deceased and the murderer had a brief conversation, following which Mistress Kibula beheaded the Chirurgian Majoris. The witnesses did not overhear any details of the conversation. Is it true that you killed him? Yes. Neither Chirurgian's death or her own impending punishment seemed to trouble Kibula. Her pensive, dark gaze wanders around the bridge. It was me. Why did you do it? The Heartless Man enjoyed what he did. His work should have been a holy mission of service. The pain of thousands should have been a solemn sacrifice, yet he derived pleasure from it. It was repulsive. The Undying One never whispered his name. I myself decided to sever his thread. I told you it would end like this, but why should anyone listen to little old Jay? Quiet in the cheap seats. Her colors have changed. The scarlet and gold are drowning in the rage of muddled crimson, and misty blues of sorrow, and the impenetrable greens of doubt. These shades are all in conflict, melding together in a frenetic tapestry. You walked a narrow, dark path across a yawning abyss. It is a small wonder that you stumbled. This soul, already mangled by blood and frightening service, has fractured further still. Can it be saved? The esteemed Letard served this void ship and this dynasty for many years. He treated the sick and gained new knowledge at his trade for bandit. He saved many, but he himself was not saved. He caused Mistress Kibula no grievance. He never offended her. He merely answered her questions regarding his work, whereupon he was attacked. And so he has the right to demand a reckoning. A death of his murderer would be lawful and proportionate retribution. The Heartless Man did more than heal people. He maimed them to torture them. He maimed them too, tortured them, killed them slowly, and observed. There was another like the Heartless Man, a Xenos from the Dark City who lorded over flesh and oversaw unholy resurrections. They were both touched by the same corruption, that of hubris. One of 3 Keeblers from the homunculus's laboratory after she had undergone his profane experiments. He treated the sick and he gained knowledge. The boots of those who walk the path of wisdom leave bloodied footprints. There's a rule that existed long before the esteemed lettered did. Who specifically did furious torture. Unimportant people, common people, doomed people. This was the esteemed lettered's way of thinking. Does a doomed leper care whether the disease or the knife is causing them pain? Is the formula for a medicine that would cure distinguished officers not worth the lives of a few dozen commoners turned test subjects? With the knowledge he gained, he invented a multitude of balms, antidotes, and treatment methods that went on to save thousands of lives. His methods were revolting. His methods were efficient. Only one who has never lain upon an operating table would prefer a principled healer to a competent one. We humbly await your verdict. On the other hand, are naught but dust. Do not touch her, is that clear? He serves the Emperor through death, and as such cannot be convicted for a death. The Furious clan will be awarded a generous indemnity for their loss, to be paid by me. I find Keebler guilty, receive a more lenient penalty than death. A murder was committed. Punishment that is clear. Let the law triumph. Commence preparations for the execution. Furious deserve to die. I'm not going to punish Keebler for that murder. As for his practices, they are henceforth banned on this ship. Generous indemnity for their loss to be paid by me. That the esteemed lettered was indifferent to the fortunes, good or otherwise, of esteemed kinspeople whom you have made rich, and that he would not be satisfied with this ruling. I cannot be put on trial. Keebler's words are barely louder than a whisper, but everyone hears them. She raises her head, face deathly pale, as if she is asleep with her eyes open. None have the right to judge a spinner of death. Except for maybe the one in charge of the spinners of death. Only he can judge. Though the Vizier's eyes are sewn shut, one can still read the grief that permeates his wrinkled features. He whispers in a sorrowful voice. You have strayed from the thread. You have doomed the tenants of the Bloodsun Web to oblivion. What a sorry end. For me, not for you. For I am compelled to usher my apprentice's soul to the other side before it is my own time to go. With your entire perverse philosophy, enforcers, I order you to kill every member of the Bloodsun Web on my ship. Why have you come here? To take the one who no longer sees the tenets, to give her to him. She is dangerous. To pacify her forever, such is my duty, and so it must be. Why me? Do you truly think the greatest danger to your flock is me? What is happening to her? The second spinner is in the throes of a spiritual ailment that we call doubt. This most terrible ailment, though harmless to layfolk, is deadly to us. For a doubtful spinner will stray from their destined thread and into bloodthirsty madness. Doubt brings them to the undying one before their time. Our service is demanding. It requires clarity and a sense of purpose, and that she no longer possesses. Long have I sensed the seeds of anxiety in her, but I hoped her reason would prove stronger and prevail. Alas, now I see the mark of despondence on her. Alas, I know that I am not mistaken. There must be a way to help her. How would one heal the soul of another? Domin. She is fighting a losing battle inside her mind, one she has all but lost. We cannot enter her mind, we cannot reach out a hand to her, although... You could. A thread binds the Domin and her shadow together. A rare thread, a shared thread. Will that connection be enough for your souls to enter into harmony? I must attempt to save her. Who seems withdrawn, her spark snuffed out, he whispers. Then seek a steward of souls, an artisan who will put you both in a psychic trance, allowing your minds to become one. You have a chapel full of astropaths, Domin. One of them will surely do you that service. See that their guidance is strong, for inside her soul you will encounter monsters. A doubt-ridden mind is a dangerous place. Alright, we're going to take a walk inside the mind of a flippin' spinner. We need to go to the astropathic choir. Astropathic chapel, sorry. Let's go and do that, I believe. Is this the way to the rest of the... Yep. To another compartment. Void Ship Shrine, Void Ship Crypt, Officer's deck, Plasma, Astropathic Choir. Kibala. We do actually need her with us because I'm about to go into a trance with her, so it's not really going to work if she's not there. Now, in a sense, I hope this isn't a little bit like last time when we did some of stuff with Adira. And so I actually ended up with a party of 5 whilst Adira was busy. I'm assuming not, but we'll find out. Let us... No, I don't use 2 swords. The first time the blade gets +1 charge of death from above. Death from above deals double damage to enemies that have less than 50% wounds. Has killed 4 enemies in total. Next ability requires spending wounds will cost no wounds. By dodge divided by 10. That's only going to be about 10. Not even that's going to be 7. I've got her in heavy armor. Because it's just fun. Each attack made with blade dancer increases the damage of all subsequent attacks they make this turn by 5%. Melee area attacks cost -1 AP less. Let's go for some of that. And then, no, we can't do Medicae. So let's go for athletics. Complete. Chapel servants. Plenty of those guys going around. How's the Astropathic Choir going?
Sings in my veins.
You can see enormous outlines of formidable machines in a greenish haze. Monolith Quad. Is this a... I'm trying to remember. Is this my original guy? Lord Captain, how can I be of service? Who are you? Monolith Quad, acting choir master of the Astropathic Choir, elected following Master Vice's death until such time as a new choir master is assigned to the flagship by decree of the Adeptus Astra Telepathica. Despite all difficulties, yes, your ladyship. Master Weiss was the strongest voice in the choir, and it is not easy for us without him. Sending and deciphering messages is harder now, but every Astropath is doing their utmost not to let the dynasty down. Asynchronous trance to complex telepathic practice. Things can go awry unless both participants trust each other and have a strong spiritual connection. However, I can sense that you do. I would be honored to be your guide during the ritual, Lord Captain, but remember, it is easy to get lost in another person's thoughts, and the fears of others house monsters. Put us in a trance. May the God, Emperor, aid you, Lord Captain. I hope this doesn't go wrong. Remember, we are playing on Grim Darkness mode, and so, oh yeah. Every single thing counts. Every single little iota and move counts. A shackled mind cannot comprehend the wisdom contained herein. Therefore, repeat. He is death. Release your breath with every word. With each word. Cleanse your thoughts. He is death. Truth lies in death. Free your soul from the body's cage. Become nothing. He is death. Now that your heartbeat is perfect line and your vision is shrouded in dusk, you have almost reached a state of purity and balance. Heed. No human will see death before their time. That is the delusion of the living. Heed. To which we say, a strong spirit can travel there and make the journey back. Heed the tale of the great Domin Sisi, who descended into the kingdom of the dead to retrieve her shadow. He is death. Birth and death are one. We are snatched from a place of warmth and sent blood-covered into an unfamiliar world. Dying is the same. The Domin, too, learned this as she opened her eyes and found herself on the lower decks, lying in a cold coffin. She beheld her ship, drifting through the nothingness, an adamantine giant's corpse, a skeleton moaning from the winds of entropy. A tempest of rust was gnawing at its plasteel bones and twisting its vein-like cables, while machine oil oozed down its bulkheads like lymph. Had the Domin been alone, she would have lost her way inside the ship's mangled bowels, but a guide reached out a hand to her. The ghost of the old Zenin Zachary, who did not rest in peace, stood by the Domin's side. Deep and painful as his soul's wounds were, he bore the Domin no ill will. For the old Veni had himself sought the punishment the Domin had exacted upon him. In the labyrinth of the hereafter, the piercing gaze of Veni Zachary discerned the thorny path to the halls of death. The loyal servant swore to protect his lady. Together, the Domin and the Veni made their way up through the malformed frame of the ship. From the cold catacombs of the lower decks, they traveled up into the fires of the ship's crematorium. Tongues of flame licked at them, yet they did not burn. Columns of the dead marched toward them to be turned to ash in the fire, and the Domin and the Veni walked towards the dead in turn. At the great gate of the crematorium, their path was blocked by the executioner, a sentinel made of metal spikes and coiling blades with roaring flame and pale, bleeding bodies writhing within. Such is a blade that has lost the strength of the tenets. A murderous monster no longer driven by faith, but by dark desires. The Domin saw that a fight was inevitable, and athletics, 100% chance, banished the monster with a fervent prayer to the Emperor. The beast prostrated itself and began to tear its own body apart. For the words of true faith pacify even the worst of evils with a sense of shame and self-loathing. And a card of his tarot appeared in the Domin's hand. It was the God Emperor, and the first doubt was dispelled. He is death. Veni Zachary led the Domin out of the hot furnace of the crematorium, and they walked past long columns of the dead. Frayed was their attire, their bones scraped against their augmetics and scratched their decrepit flesh. They were moaning sorrowfully, and the sound made memory fade away. The Domin saw that the dead were not carrying an ark, and inside the ark was a thing. A lost child cocooned in silk, shredding crimson tears for the unknown. The unliving carried her as servants would carry their lady, and loudly lamented their fate. Such is a blade mired in broodings over a lost path, a helpless child paralyzed by regret, lest she sink into soft rot of their wails and perish. The Domin spoke gently to the lost child. And the lost child's tears were dried, and with a meek sigh she returned to nothingness. For mercy, too, can be the blade that brings peace. And a card of his tarot appeared in the Domin's hand. It was the star, and the second doubt was dispelled. He is death. And the old Veni led the Domin to the upper decks, and the Domin entered into the officers' chambers. A web of veins adorned the walls. Entangling the precious trophies and statues were bound in intertwining sinews. And high upon a balcony, the dismembered judge wailed as he attempted to reassemble himself with his pale hands. But his movements merely tightened the tangle of the flesh, turning the chambers into a snare. Such is a blade tangled and trapped in misunderstood teachings, a hapless creature that does not know its place in the world. In order to continue on her journey, the Domin helped the judge by returning each of his organs to their proper place, attacked the obstacle of flesh in her path, tearing it apart and destroying it, studied the tangle of flesh for secret signs that would show her the way. He attempted to reassemble himself with his pale hands, but his movements merely tightened his tangle of flesh, turning chambers into a snare. Such is a blade tangled and trapped into misunderstood teachings. Kind of want to go for logic, I think. I mean, I can do any of them. I'm going to go logic. And the judge became whole again, and regained his comprehension of the world. For one who is wise can make whole that was what was broken. And a card of his tarot appeared in the Domin's hand. It was the rogue trader, and the third doubt was dispelled. He is death. The flagship's bridge was draped in skulls and webs. The pale souls of the dead flocked to the foot of the throne upon which sat the undying emperor, the protector of mankind. May his praises be innumerable. Starlight shone coldly in the eyes of his skull, and the galaxy rested in his mighty hand. The Domin approached his throne and went down on one knee, offering a prayer to him. The Undying One heeded the words spoken to him and lowered his brow of bone, acknowledging that he had heard the prayer, as he had heard the Domin's other prayers before. Then the Undying One spoke. And these words are to be preserved in your heart as the greatest of prayers, for they sprang from a source that was and is the holiest of all things. I know you, Domin. I know your heart, and the softness that dwells within it. Many who were due to pass on to me remained alive as your heart willed, but I am not angered, for they will pass on to me in the end. The Undying Emperor, may his praises be innumerable, said no more, and it was the Domin's turn to speak. And speak the Domin did, saying that she had come to find her shadow and rescue her. The skeletal fingers stirred, and the Domin's shadow loomed out of the darkness beside his throne. She was bound in black chains and asleep. The Undying One was silent. Now was the time to offer a payment, as death would give nothing away without payment in return. And the Domin promised the Undying One Nothing, for everything in the world is nothing, and the Undying One himself is Lord of nothing. Sold. Those were true words, for everything is indeed nothing, and the Undying Emperor is Lord of nothing. For all things live only to turn to dust in death, and the Domin's wisdom pleased the Undying One. Then the Undying Emperor leant over the Domin and drove a skeletal finger right into her heart. And he pulled at the scarlet thread of her soul, and the thread trembled, stretched to the limit. It was then that a revelation came to the Domin. A life must be paid for a life, and a name was revealed to her. Nike Erebus. That was the life the Undying One demanded as payment, and the Domin agreed to the price. An oath of blood was sworn, and the chains fell from the Domin's shadow. Yet she remained silent and motionless, for she saw no sense in leaving the halls of death, to which the Domin told her that her duty to the Undying One and the Domin had not yet been fulfilled. And there was clarity in the Shadow's soul, and her eyes opened. Her doubt was banished, and she glimpsed the truth in her lady's words. That her woes stemmed from her wavering faith, and that the Shadow must return to the thread of the web in order to do his bidding. He is death. The Domin and her Shadow left the bridge of the Undying Emperor. May his praises be innumerable, and their path was strewn with his tarot cards. Among them, the Domin saw the card of the Executioner, who carries out sentences and brings a violent end to that which he did not begin. Among them, the Domin saw the card of the Lost Child, who was torn from her roots and her support, but carries within her the still hidden seeds of a promise to recover them someday. Among them, the Domin saw the card of the Judge, who weighs and separates guilt from innocence, and passes his verdict. And they descended into the lower bays, lay down in a stone coffin, and closed their eyes. And the Domin heard the Undying Emperor's voice promising they would meet again, and soon. And thereupon their journey ended, and so it was that the Domin, having seen death before her due time, travelled there and back to bring us these tidings and wisdom. Be free of doubt as you walk along the threads of the blood-spun web, for those threads lead to him, as does all of existence. He is death. As the shock of another mind's jumbled thoughts stops constricting your throat, you find yourself staring at Keebler's pale face. It has settled into a strange expression. Domin CC. How we met. Death. I remember stumbling. I remember my doubt in the truth of the tenants throwing me off my feet. I remember deciding to kill, and not because I had heard his whisper, but because I deemed it to be right. Death whispered my name, for a spinner without a thread is like a sky without stars. They would drown in their own soul's darkness. But you have reminded me of who I am, and that my shameful weakness must be extinguished. This Naki Erebus is the payment the Undying One demands. The price of redemption, the price of freedom. Who is this person? Where are they from? I do not know. Help me find them, Domin. Your factotum oversees archives that contain many names. Let him find the one that death has spoken, and I will pay the price that was set, for I feel with all my essence, the death of Naki Erebus is the key, the answer to my question. Okay, so we move forward to another compartment. We'll go back to the bridge. We will speak to the High Factotum. We'll get given a name. I'm sure it'll tell us to go somewhere. I'm assuming it won't be on the ship. Who knows? At which point then we will actually continue with the main quest. We have to go to Euphrates 2. And we have to do the siege. So we'll go and try and get that done. And then afterwards, we'll maybe do another couple of my companion's quests. We have to speak to Jay, which I think will just be a conversation, but I'm going to ignore him for now. Sorry, her for now. Obviously, we'll have to do this. Naki Erebus. Find whatever information you can. The clan name is familiar. If I may ask your ladyship to give me a little time, the flagship's archives being as fast as they are, I spare no effort in finding Naki Erebus as soon as possible. 15 minutes. Wow, that was fast. The Erebus family are a lesser Voidborn clan. They serve in the boarding teams for many generations, spilling blood in the name of the dynasty. In the service of her ladyship, Theodora, Erebesis displayed impeccable heroism on several occasions. Unfortunately, the clan was all but wiped out 2 decades ago during a confrontation with enemies of humanity. For their valor and sacrifice, Lady Theodora granted the surviving members of the clan noble estate privileges and the right to settle on the capital world. What about Naki Erebus? The name Naki appears in reports. At least a dozen different women bore it over several centuries, but there is no data on any living person with that name. The head of the Erebus family will likely have more information about the past 2 decades of their clan's history on Dargonus. Gravity is merciless to the Voidborn, but that does not mean they are incapable of adapting to it. Living on the capital world is a reward worth putting in the effort for. I will send the dynasty's representative on the capital world an instruction to summon Erebus family to the palace. I shall return later. Okay, so let's have a quick look at the map. And let's go, as I said, to Euphrates 2. There she is, Kibula, our blood spinner, our dancer who is... Oh, Inspector Rack of the Finger of Sorrow. Do I do this whilst I'm here? I mean, we may as well. Let's go have a quick look. I mean, I happen to be right here. Finger of Sorrow. Can I just, like, blow it out of the sky? Hawk the merchant ship drifts through the void like a gutted corpse. The hull is riddled with gouges from macro cannon fire. The soot-covered letters on the side spell out a somber name, Finger of Sorrow. Use the augurs to examine the ship. The ship is devoid of vital signs. Life support systems have long since failed. Cold darkness and silence fills the rack of the Finger of Sorrow. A squad of enforcers and tech priests put on their void suits and dock with the ship. The vessel is empty except for the frozen and desiccated corpses of the crew. Some retain human features, but others are easily recognizable as genetic aberrations. They have been dead for centuries. Examine the logbook. The Finger of Sorrow was a common merchant vessel. The log records its travels along many of the trade routes of the Calixtic sector. The last entry states that the ship departed from Port Wanda on the border between the Cronus Expanse and the Calixtic sector. The tech priests note that the protocols for undocking from the station were not followed, indicating either a hasty escape or blatant disregard for the covenants of the Omnissiah. The hold is empty apart from a few open containers. However, careful examination points to 3 opened service hatches that bear claw marks. Venturing deeper into the service tunnels, the enforcers find 3 empty nests with chunks of purple chitin and dried traces of dark slime that has eaten through the metal panels. There can be no doubt that Gene Stealers once lurked here. Many of the cabins have become tombs for the bodies of the crew. They asphyxiated when the ship's life support systems failed. One of the enforcers notices a cache marked with the symbol of a fanged serpent with a sharp tail and 3 clawed limbs. The cache contains an amulet and a miraculous preserved diary. In the first round of combat, the wearer's MP is doubled. Dogmatic follower, though, which a few people will be able to do. The diary was kept by one of the missionaries of the Gene Stealer cult. According to the entries, this cult secretly spread throughout much of the Calixtus sector. Although the author does not mention a specific infected world, he recalls with reverence the Promised Land, the Cradle of Faith, salty as the tears of righteous martyrs. The author's branch of the cult had settled on Port Wanda Station, the last threshold between the Calixtus sector and the Cronus Expanse. The cult grew and gained followers among the workers and the poor, and even managed to infiltrate powerful trade guilds. However, their plans fell apart when the Gene Stealer kiss was granted to an unworthy candidate. This oversight led to the discovery of the cult and a bloody purge. The author of the diary recalls with horror and sorrow how many of the pureblood children of the Star Savior perished in the massacre. The story ends by chronicling the escape of a small group of heretics who managed to save 3 purebreds and steal a merchant ship under heavy fire from the station. They narrowly navigated the moor, but the ship's damage was too severe. The 3 phalanges of the Finger of Sorrow, the purebred Star Children, fell into a long sleep and became dormant. Meanwhile, the cultists humbly watched the ship's life support systems fade away one after another. In the last lines, the author welcomes death in the name of the many-armed emperor with solemnity and elation. Destroy the ship. The enforcers plant multi-charges at key points on the vessel, and the explosion rips the Finger of Sorrow to pieces that are obliterated by strikes from macro cannons. And it is done. The Gene Stealer cult, at least the branch we know of, has been purged from the Cronus Expanse. Okay, now I need to get to... This is an uncharted system. Really? I need to get to the Siege of Euphrates 2. Warp travel. Warp travel. You have a comedy event requires a Lord Captain's attention. There's a malfunction. The Immaterium released us from its grip. Let's make it... Do you know what? Let's just make it safe. Why? No, let's not make it safe. Let's not worry about that. Why, hello. Witness, you claim that you left Sanctum Navis on the Lady Navigator's orders. Affirmation, this unit acted in accordance. Step 1, sense the sacred mechanism for the duration of 15 chronometer turns. Step 2, you failed to inform the bridge about the imminent jump. I want to know why. Data unavailable. The Lady Navigator ordered that she be connected to the Void Ship, but she did not order the preparation of the Machine Spirit's warp translation. Cause, a ritual that cannot be identified by the ship's capabilities. This unit received the command to interrupt protocol and exit the Sanctum Navis. No, please, not the fingers. I'm going to break one for every word of a lie I hear coming from your mouth. Now talk. Please, you have to believe me. All we did was prepare the canvas and mix the Lady Navigator's blood into the paints. Then we were told to lock open the shutters so that the Lord Captain could see everything that was going on inside the Sanctum Navis from the observation chambers, and armor glass can't shield you from warp horrors. I swear it on the soul of the Golden Throne, Master Enforcer. The Lady Navigator only wanted to paint a picture for a ritual or some such. That's all I know. She wasn't going to use the power in her eye, but I still got as far away from there as I could. That's all I saw, I'm telling you. We performed an emergency warp jump, barely activated the Gala field in time, and are now being dragged to Throne knows where by an unknown force. The Lady Navigator and the Lord Captain are still unaccounted for. Now tell me one more time what transpired in the Sanctum Navis. I escorted the Lord Captain to the observation chambers and yelled at the servant for leaving the shutters open. But then I was told it was on the rogue trader's orders. We could see the Lady Navigator clearly through the armor glass. She was lost in thought, staring at the canvas in front of her. She looked like she was completely unaware of the world around her. Soon the servants were ordered to leave the Sanctum Navis, and the Lady Navigator picked up her brush. Entranced, she started dragging it across the canvas, painting one image over another, and another one over the last, and another. And then the Lord Captain noticed it. There was a thing on the other side. The picture, covered in a layer of fresh blood, was coming to life. But the Lady Navigator was oblivious. That is when the Lord Captain... dashed to the control panel. I didn't dare to stop her. I just watched Bolter at the ready. The machine spirits went mad. The doors and the shutters started opening and closing at random, but the rogue trader managed to dart inside. Startled by all the noise, the Lady Navigator turned around, and then those horrors in her painting, they broke free. And what happened next? I barely remember a thing. There was a bright flash, a purple blur. I remember feeling so scared that my knees were shaking. I remember my legs carrying me away like they had a mind of their own. As I ran, I heard screams behind me. The Lord Captain and Lady Cassia, they... Oh, God Emperor, the creatures, they pulled them both inside the painting. Mistress Voxmaster, I have a report that needs to be delivered to the senior officers. The Lord Captain and the Lady Navigator were lost during the emergency warp jump. Their whereabouts are still unknown, and I am sending you the interrogation reports. End of recording. Relation of the Lord Captain's personal account, recording by... Note, strictly classified. Access protocol holder CC von Valancius. Tizavone Orselio's ritual did not go as planned. The warp disturbance triggered by the Lady Navigator's trance washed over the Sanctum Navis. The Void Ship's machine spirits reacted to the surge of the Immaterium and interpreted it as a call to action. Thus did the emergency jump into the unknown begin. Amid the shrieks of the sirens, the clanging of shutters, and the distant hum of the warp engine, some unknown will pulled the Lord Captain into the Sanctum Navis, toward the creatures from the living canvas that had already gripped the Lady Navigator's throat. Horrified, almost out of breath and struggling to scream, Cassia stretched out her hand and began slowly sinking into her own painting. The Lord Captain, I mean, just look at the beautiful artwork on this. Oh wow, we're going to use other people's skills. Try to pull her back, try to escape from the Sanctum Navis. Started hacking at the hands reaching from inside the painting. The ritual dagger of House Orselio cleaved the billowing shadows, and yet the painting hand reformed itself the moment after the blade passed through it. Cassia went limp in the clutches of her horrific creation and was immediately pulled to the other side of the painting. A moment later, Cece, still clutching the dagger, was likewise plunged into the depths of the world the Lady Navigator had created. Cece awoke, finding herself in the middle of a gigantic, boundless, billowing nothingness. Her body felt weightless, floating in a void strewn with hundreds of Lady Navigator's colors. Some of them bright, warm, and alluring, others morose, cold, and heavy. The Lord Captain. Closed her eyes and remained adrift in the weightlessness. Cece stayed in the ocean of nothingness, devoid of any sense or emotion, until an ornate ritual dagger floated before her eyes and reminded her of a world that once seemed more real than this one. Someone's scream broke the delicate equilibrium of the Lord Captain's motionless body, and the weightlessness released her. She plummeted into the maroon abyss of roiling illusions, but was now in full control of her body again. Then Cece? Towards the screams. The Lord Captain crashed from an immeasurable height to the bottom of the roiling abyss. In the next moment, Cece saw two fingers amid the billowing maroon mist. One of the figures, unnaturally gaunt and tall, was clutching the other, smaller one in its claws, screaming furiously. Peered into the strange maroon mist. In the swirling mist all around her, Cece could make out human faces stricken with torment. And not just human faces. There were Xenos, Eldari. Their features fused together with those of humans, which made the Crimson Spectres look all the more abominable. Their gazes and their rage were directed at the two unmoving figures facing each other. The Lord Captain drew closer. One step was all it took for some unknown force to notice the Lord Captain, seize her, and drag her through the painting's twisted dark space. Now the Lord Captain could clearly see the dark shade of the long-dead navigator leaning over Cassia. Clutching her neck in its clawed fingers, the shade screamed. You were given life because of me. You survived because of me. And here you are now, because I have willed it so. Bow before me. Tell me what I wish to hear, and your suffering will end. Go on, child. I have waited for so long. Submit to me. Cassia looked exhausted, her body covered in hundreds of thin cuts, her lips lacerated, claw marks on her cheeks. Yet there was steadfast resolve in her eyes. I know who you are, Tisiphone Orselio. I know what you crave. I saw it in the visions that you sent me again and again. I won't allow you. I will never allow you to become me. Cassia's fatigued voice quivered, but she was not about to yield in this battle. The Lord Captain urged the Lady Navigator to fight her to the bitter end. The Lord Captain's words attracted not just Lady Cassia's attention. Tisiphone Orselio, finally noticing the presence of a living creature in that bizarre world, turned to face the interloper and lunged forward, seething with rage. When the entity's claws were millimeters from the rogue trader's throat, Cassia opened her navigator's eye, and a wave of unbridled warp energy obliterated Tisiphone's spectre before she realized what was happening. The Lady Navigator graced the Lord Captain with a tired smile. The abortive ritual had turned out to be a trap set for Lady Cassia by the previous novator of her house. But the rogue trader had ensured that her plan fell to ruin, and now it was time to desert that accursed place. Again, look at the glorious artwork. We've got a spectre of a navigator from House Orselio. You can see the matching shoulder guards standing over Lady Cassia. Look, blood coming from her eyes, dripping down her hands, screaming horrible human Eldari figures all around them. Cassia took the rogue trader's hand and guided her through the maroon mist and out of the painting. Their unconscious bodies were discovered in the Sanctum Navis 20 Terran days after their disappearance, as soon as the rogue trader's void ship had emerged from the warp in an unknown system. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go have a look. Let us go have a look. I have to go to Kiavagama for whatever is going on. Which I'll probably do, because it's kind of on the way to your freights too, I believe. I think I just got that repair in. Palace of the Atlas. The usual suspects. Let's take them down. It's a crone world. However powerful a rogue trader you are to deal with the vendors of the Cronus Expanse, you will have to demonstrate your authority and gain renown with them. Who would have thought? And here we are.
My success is an irrefutable certainty.
So navigates left no stone unturned in this Aldari temple.
This explorator is blessed with multifunctionality.
Drukari equipment, elite marksman's gloves. I'm up.
A machine gun grants me insight.
Looks like a webway gate is blemished by human presence in their pursuit of ancient secrets. The navigators had no qualms about filling the ruins with surplus. Back up the stairs we go.
There will be no peace in my wake.
Come straight back down the other side. Decayed pages. And back up we go again. And back down we go this way this time. I know we can't. Oh, back up this way.
The rogue trader dynasty has lost its head. Who will replace Caligos Winterscale?
Whatever the unit's merits, it is unlikely that his successor could be...
Using navigator power, they always physically dodge the next attack by moving to a random adjacent cell.
to his duties.
Ah, okay, is this... Oh, we can just come up this way. Ah, fair enough. Let's go and blow this up, why not?
Yes! Genius! Triumph!
I've actually got some melter charges to use for once. A plasma ring. Compact weapon in the form of a ring that allows wearer to fire plasma shot. Grenadier's backpack. The wearer and their allies are immune to the damage from the wearer's grenades. I think I've actually got one of those, to be honest.
My nerves are frayed.
So we went left. Let's now go right. Stick ourselves right in here in case there's anything secret to be found. Just an Eldari chainsword. And let's come up top. Navis bodyguard. Alright, can we... Nope, we can't sneak somewhere else. Halt, cursed child! We had to ally ourselves with the Xenos once more to stop you... once more? He's saying this is the second time? It is a small price to pay for the liberation of House Ocelio from the chains of tyranny. You really want to do this? I mean, really? Wow, those guys just glided on it, literally. Begone, renegades. We followed the Atlas's call in your wake, child. Stand with us. House Ocelio will not trade Tisophone's legacy for the false ideals of blind fools. Anybody else want to come and interrupt? I feel like we're a party short. What is happening? Oh look, some more friends. I love the hairdo. Where do I get a helmet that looks like that? Damned Xenos! This was not the bargain we struck. Prone, smite you. The navigator whose skin is so thin that it reveals the muscles, bone, and innards beneath clenches his augmetic gold jaw in contempt. What is this? The rogue trader and the traitors to the house have lured the child into a trap set by Xenos. I wish my eyes were deceiving me, but now I can see clearly that Great Regent Oronto was right to send us after your vessel. I too wish to be enlightened about what is happening. You will stop defiling the remains of the hallowed ground of our ancestors with your semblance of speech monkey. The final act will soon unfold, where you will pay for the deeds of your ancestors. Stay put and wait for the puppeteer to pull at your strings. Why are there Xenos ruins where the Palace of the Atlas should be? Why is this place coated in an impenetrable black mist? I'm suffocating. Three-eyed monkey who sees into Sha'il. The taint of your ancestors has begun to consume your body and soul. Pathetic fools with an insatiable lust for power that is not yours. Ending your misery will be merciful. Taint, do you mean the Atlas, Xenos traitor? Silence, traitor! The Atlas is the sacred relic of House Orselio. It is what elevates us above the rest. How dare you? I refuse to accept this. Impossible. What is this place? We call planets such as this one Crone worlds. They came to be long before my time, back when all of the Aldari were a united people whose empire stretched from one edge of the galaxy to another. It is a world beneath the first stars, an unblighted world. I never thought I would come to find one. And nothing to add to the outcast words other than my eternal astonishment at your curious troop, monkey. Do you not see it? When you, monkey, discovered this Crone world, you tainted it with your crude technology. Despoiled it of its relics, ruined all there was to the last stone. But worst of all, you sullied the souls of our ancestors reposed in their sacred vessel, the spirit monolith. He points his thin finger at the remarkable crystal floating behind his back, and the harlequins around you tightening the rips on their weapons. Like a sea of bottomless blue. I did not know that living things could exude such saturated hues. I wish I could paint this ocean a different color. Examine the hovering crystal. This enormous translucent stone shares a strange resonance with this place. You can sense the energy emanating from it. Mysterious, restless, coagulated. It resembles a giant heart that has been plucked out of its owner's chest. Its crystal clarity is pierced by hundreds of dark veins that have taken root within like a terrible illness. How did the navigators taint the spirit monolith? The experiments. This is where she conducted her experiments. Tesiphone. No, it is not possible. To consort with Xenos is to violate the word of the God Emperor. It is known to all that Tesiphone Orselio executed anyone who showed any interest in the enemies of humanity. Is that so? Then why is it that every piece of metal or fabric in this place bears our house's coat of arms? Open your eyes. Quiet. I am unsurprised that the truth is hidden from your gazes. Three-eyed monkey who see into Sha'il. I realized it the moment I met the first of you. Wretched, begging us to help you destroy your own kin. I sensed it within you. Our ancestors' call, their pleas, their endless torment. I knew that what you found was a Crone world, and I humbly waited for the day you would lead me to it. What is the meaning behind your words, Athier, troop master? You know the answer already, outcast. You always have known. What answers have you always known? So that is why your presence makes my soul shrink to the sides of a river pearl and my throat choke in a collar of thorns. That is why your words seep into my soul like poison, leaving wounds that will not heal. There is a shard of the spirit monolith inside you, monkey, twisted, perverted, invigorating you by making my ancestors suffer. Alas, you are right, outcast. The ancestors of the three-eyed monkey sought to command the power of the spirit monolith. And yet they suffered failure time and again. Eventually, they discovered a way to harness this power. A terrible way. Torturous and unforgivable. They shattered the monolith into many shards and weakened the souls within. And then, they placed the shards of the spirit monolith inside their bodies to empower their abilities. I never wished to learn such harsh truths about my own house. Number 1. You say that only because you wish to soothe me. You are more than just a tyrant's heir. You are a successor to a mad heretic, betrayer of the faith. You must be destroyed, you and the Atlas once and for all. You think the solution is so easy, don't you, monkey? When you die, your souls become captives inside the spirit monolith. The process is deranging to our ancestors who have served as the monolith's guardians for aeons. It is equally agonizing to the souls of your dead. And the more monkey souls the monolith absorbs, the more volatile it becomes. The Aldari and the monkey have spent many a dance battling for supremacy within the monolith, and its integrity is waning. You sense it too. The only way to free our ancestors from the pain is to separate the monkey tent from the spirit monolith. Our troop is here to perform just that. We all will play our parts today, and when the final act of this age-long tragedy begins, the monkey players will exit this world's stage. Listen to whatever she has to say. She is not the woman her predecessor was. I cannot change the past, it is true, nor can I change the fact that my house is forever tainted with disgrace born of Tisiphone Orselio's hubris. Yet all of us here today have the power to change the future and halt the unending suffering that is drowning both your kin and mine. You suggest that the monkey and the Oderi change the future together. I must admit, my leading lady, I am confounded by your audacity. Go on. My Atlas. If you can free the phantoms of my house from the spirit monolith, guide them to enter my Atlas, their experience and wisdom will help steer House Orselio onto the path of truth and allow future generations to avoid the calamitous pitfalls of their forebears. Kai Morag, my leading lady. The shards of the monolith are lodged inside the chest of every monkey bound to you by ties of blood. How exactly do you intend to return them? I shall use the Atlas to sever my subject's connection to the spirit monolith, and then I shall extract its shards from every navigator of House Orselio. This artifact is implanted at birth, but that does not mean that the ritual cannot be reversed. I witnessed its creation through Tisiphone's eyes in my visions. I lived it over and over again. Through the memories of the Sethala clan, I can recreate the ritual that will return the souls of your kin to you and save my people's lives. Number 3. I am willing to try. No, I won't let you destroy the Atlas, even if it's a child's wish. Lady Orselio, you are too young, inexperienced. You simply cannot comprehend. You address the future novator of House Orselio, one who suffered the massacre of Urak 5, who has lived following an attempt on her life at the Palace of Dargonis, who has restored her house's stability in what scant time she has been free, while you, of all of you, have spent years destroying it from within. You address one who has passed through the tempest of the Sea of Souls to the true Atlas as a rogue trader's ally, yet still you call me unworthy, don't you? Young, inexperienced. Kneel before me and I shall forgive you your insolence. House Orselio was always loyal to Novator Tisiphone, henceforth it will be loyal to her successor, even if you see fit to lead us down a different path, my lady. Are you done with your performance, monkey? Then stand aside and do not interrupt. Yep, there is a giant chunk missing from that stone. Oh, it turned blue. A lovely sky blue with some clouds in it. I can feel it again, the tranquility. The ancestral souls have found peace, and corruption no longer endangers the monolith or this world. Remember our agreement, Cassia Orselio. We will soon meet in this place again so that you can give us the shards. And now, be gone from our world, monkey. And off I go. Mostly. Whole bunch of flickering dancers.
In this tapestry of a world, I am the rogue thread.
More flickering dancers.
The whispers told me how.
Well, Xenos, let you know, get an extra
That
5
wasn't
experience
so
here
difficult.
and 10 experience there. And let's leave. Down the stairs. Just down the stairs. And off we go. Select all. Accept. Smaragdus Mondos. So, back to the Chronos Expanse we go. That's not bad. We've dealt with Cass. We've dealt with Kibula. Oh no, wait, sorry. We still have to finish Kibula. We have to go to Dargonis. I don't know. I feel like this trying to go somewhere else. Warp travel. What's apparently up here? Beholding the truth. I think we've actually gone and done that. Warp travel. Banish them with faith and prayer. That's where we have to go. That's thingy. Vessel from turning to real space. Took a bit of damage. You know, hopping around everywhere. Let's quickly pop down to Kiava Gamma. And let's deal with whatever's come about. Heretics from Kava Gamma are ready to test an experimental engine fueled by warp energy. They are waiting for an order to test the machine. People and mechanisms. Efficiency and complacency. Hang on a minute. Did I really say people could do this? Use the engine as the colony's sentinel. Okay. Parts and mechanisms to be used in the construction of other heretical devices. The engine's corruption presence causes people to rot alive and machinery and conveyor belts to require constant maintenance. Warp revelations. I guess maybe I did tell it to do that, didn't I? Several research complex for warp technology is a dangerous, closely guarded secret of the Adeptus Mechanicus. Okay then. Let's just double check as well that I do have... didn't I gain a beautiful set of goggles for you instead? Down here. 100% wounds, they deal 50% additional damage with their psychic powers and psychic staves. Dodge an attack, they gain +1 psi rating to the end of the next turn. Uses willpower for dodge instead of... I mean, that did give me a lot more dodge. I think that's why I went for it. And recently we've picked up things like I don't want those. I'm not going to be using that. We won't be using that. In the first round of combat, the wearer's MP is doubled. What have you got equipped? Dogmatic Follower. Are we not dogmatic? You'll be Iconoclast, most assuredly. Adeptus Astartes equipment. I mean, 60 to 90 damage on a beautiful flamer. You know we're going to go and equip that. Not that we're going to use him, but you know we're going to go and equip it. Adeptus Astartes equipment. You know we're going to go and use that as well. Incorrect armament. Oh, must not have features. Right. I thought it was a giant warhammer for this big old bugger. Turns out I was wrong. But let's just move on from that one. Talk to Cassio on the ship. Go to the Von Valancius Paris. Talk to Jay on the ship. Warp travel. Let's, okay, it's trying to tell me it's dangerous, but it's also safe. That's just a bit weird. Let's just make it safe. See what I mean? I've got two routes going there. This official one, and then I think my unofficial one that I made earlier. Which I apparently can't use. Let's go and visit the star. Repair the hull. I'm actually going to quickly pop to my bridge. As I've got 2 conversations to hold. Let's go and hold those, and then we'll try and get through the siege. All in this this beautiful set of time. But what we're actually going to do, ladies and gentlemen, is we are actually going to end the episode there, and we will get to the siege in the next episode, I think. We've been going for an hour, so I think it's time to take a quick pause in between episodes. So thank you very much for joining me. I hope you have enjoyed it. And until we see you again, as per always, I hope that you will stay safe, happy, and healthy.